Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English News Edition brought to you live from RTD channel. The headlines for tonight are: the Minister of Defense receives the commander of the CTF 151 and the Vice Admiral of the Japanese Self-Defense Armed Forces. Kim Jong-un has committed to denuclearization, says South Korea. Let's begin the news with this congratulation message from the President of the Republic to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Following his re-election, the President of the Republic, Ismail Margili, sent today a message of congratulation to his counterpart of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. In his message, the head of state described Putin's re-election as the perfect proof of the majority of the Russian people's support for the social project they aspire for their country. The head of state, Ismail Margili, writes in his message, "Under your enlightened leadership, your country has increased its economic provisions, a source of social fulfillment." The President of the Republic then continued his message by saying, "No doubt that your action at the head of the Federation of Russia will help strengthen the friendship as well cooperation relation between our two nations." President Gile has finally reiterated his wishes of success to the President Vladimir Putin. The head of state, the Republic of Djibouti, is in mourning with the deaths of the former Prime Minister, the late Barkhad Gourad Hamadou, in Paris at 3 p.m. yesterday. 3 a.m. yesterday, when he was admitted urgently to a large hospital. He was 88 years old. Following the announcement of the death, the head of state has paid a vibrant tribute to the memory of this politician and the friend. The two men worked for a long time. Side by side, President Gile greeted the man and his fight, pointing out that he was a figurehead in the national political scene. For President Gile, the late Barkhad was a visionary with a keen sense of observation and analysis. According to the head of state, the late Barkhad Gourad Hamadou will be missed by many of us and his compatriots, who always appreciate him for his frankness and sincerity. Born around 1930 in Halle Dakhil, Barkhad Gourad Hamadou was a prominent politician before and after the country's independence. The political career of the late Barkhad Gourad Hamadou is linked to the history of the country. In his youth, he was a member of the territorial militia. Then the late Barkhad Gourad Hamadou began his active life in mechanics in the capital Djibouti. He joined the Chamber of Deputies for the first time in 1957 after the failure of the no in the 1958 referendum. He was re-elected in November 1958 on Hassan's list. In June 1960, he was a minister in the government of Ali Aref Burhan, of which he was close. In 1957, he was re-elected to the list Gouled in Dakhil constituency. Thereafter, he was elected a senator by the Territorial Assembly. In 1952, Gaullist affiliate, he sat in the ranks of the Union for the New Republic. He resigned for the Senate in 1980. Appointed Prime Minister, he worked for a long time alongside the late Hassan Gouled Abtidon and with the current President Ismail Omar Guelleh. In addition to the President of the Republic, Ismail Margili, tribute to the late Prime Minister, still coming from the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and his Secretary General Anagir Abdullah Kamil, the President of the National Assembly Mohammed Ali Ahmed, MPs, Sultans of the Jura of Gobad and Ugas of Isa, all members of the government, the former Prime Minister Dileita Mohammed Dileita, the Secretary General of the RPP, the President of the FRUD, the Chief of Staff of the Presidency, the ambassadors of Djibouti in Germany, Moscow, Saudi Arabia, Cairo, Japan, Yemen, as well as the business managers of Djibouti in Somaliland, as well Eritrea, and all the staff of the Prime Minister of different ministries and chancellors of Djibouti abroad. Furthermore, the prefect and presidents of the councils of the 5 regions, on behalf of the entire population of 5 regions, send their heartfelt condolence. Mr. Saad Omar Gili, Mohamed Abdou, Baragoita Said, and Mr. Ahmed Abdullah Dagi, the prefect of Oboch, and the Djiboutian diaspora in Saudi Arabia, send also their heartfelt condolence to the president and to the family of the late former prime minister, the late Barkhad Gurad Hamadou. Still with the national news, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Ali Hassan Bahdon, received today at his office the Vice Admiral Dezeku Katimoto, new commander of the base CTF 151 of the Self-Defense Army Forces pre-position in Djibouti. The Vice Admiral was received in the company of Koji Yanitani, Ambassador of Japan, and Commander Itayaki, Defense Attaché at the Embassy of Japan. On the Djiboutian side, the minister was surrounded by Captain Elias Abdullahi Gili, head of cabinet of the ministry, and Eltir Ibrahim Farah, in charge of affairs within the same department. This meeting is part of the contact made with the Djiboutian civil and military authorities. The minister welcomed his guest of honor to Djibouti, Vice Admiral Dezeku Yatimotu, did not miss to thank the minister for the warm welcome and fraternal welcome that he was received since upon his arrival on Djibouti soil. The encounter then expanded to cover the existing bilateral cooperation relation between the 2 countries, and particularly the cooperation between the 2 armies. The regulation of acts of maritime piracy has been held by both sides. The exchange of views also focused on the situation in Somalia as well in Yemen. And health, now the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Mokiye, was traveling yesterday to Obuch, where he inaugurated a new medical clinic. This one is intended to help and take care of the clandestine of economic migrants wanting to cross the Red Sea. This trip to Obuch was made in the company of the ambassador of the European Union, Adam Kulash, the ambassador of Germany, Volker Beresem, the head of the mission of the IOM in Djibouti, Mrs. Lalini Varasimi, and the Secretary Executive of ONARS, Hussein Hassan Umar. Arriving by sea, the delegation led by the Minister of Health was greeted by the prefect of the region, Hassan Dabali, and many personalities of the city of Hayu, who escorted them the ministerial position to the Center of Aid to Migrants, where was planned the inaugural ceremony. The medical clinic is intended to provide emergency medical care and assistance to migrants staying in the center and generally suffer from severe dehydration of multiple deficiencies. The opening ceremony of the medical clinic also saw the participation of some 200 migrants present in the IOM Health Center. In his welcome address, the Obuch Prefect Hassan Davle did not miss to congratulate IOM for its long-term commitment to addressing the problem of migrants transiting via Obuch. The IOM Chief of Mission, Mrs. Vera Sami, did not miss to recall the history of her institution, which works to provide help and assistance to migrants in distress in the Republic of Djibouti. And for his part, the ONAR's Executive Secretary, Hussein Hassan Darar, spoke on behalf of the Ministry of the Interior, highlighting the tradition of hospitality and welcome that characterize our nation for its openness and assistance in favor of migrants in distress. The European Union Ambassador Adam Kulash hailed the Djiboutian government willingness to provide care for migrants in distress. He referred to the principle of humanism in which, in the Declaration of Human Rights, the ambassador of Germany and his side supported sustainable responses to alleviate human suffering, especially for migrants in distress. In turn, taking the floor, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Moukiye, meanwhile stressed all the measures taken by his department, including the activities of the mobile brigade launched in December 2017 to meet the care needs of migrants along the corridor migration. And finally, the Ministry of Health did not miss to recall that this initiative stems from the political vision of the head of state, Ismail Margile, reflecting this culture of hospitality and openness very dear to our nation and unanimously recognized as a haven of peace and a land of meetings as well exchange. Thereafter, the delegation led by the Ministry of Health, Dr. Jamal Moukiye, then undertook a guided tour of the brand new medical clinic. This IOM medical center includes a hospital room with about 20 beds, an equipped consultation room with adequate equipment, an observation room, a pharmacy as well, an infirmary. This medical center was built thanks to the IOM as part of a program to better care for migrants. The construction of the center was financed by the European Union as well as the RFI. For its part, the Ministry of Health supports all the human resources necessary for the proper functioning of this clinic by deploying its doctors and health professionals full-time. And through close collaboration with the CMH, the Ministry of Health will therefore ensure the reference and counter-referral activities at this clinic exclusively dedicated to migrants with distress. A preparatory meeting of ACP officials took place this morning at the People's Palace. Participants were invited to make a state of place pin in their respective countries of the regional indicative program. The focus was on the difficulties encountered, in particular in the choice of sectors of concentration, the level of absorption of resources, as well modalities of implementation. Further, in the countries that are currently differentiated by the European Commission for the allocation of resources from the 11th EDF were called to share their expertise by highlighting the impact of this measure. The new European Consensus on Development, which was adopted by the European Council in June 2017, aims to put in place a new vision of the 80s development policy in the framework of the 2030 agenda. Another point is the partnership agreement between the group of the African states of the Caribbean and the Pacific, as well as the European Union. In this perspective, the European Commission has presented to Parliament and the European Council a communication on a renewed partnership with the ACP countries. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, Urbanism as well Environment, Dini Abdullah Omar, chaired today the opening of the National Workshop for the evaluation of the efficiency of maritime area management. These 3-day meetings are organized by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning and the Environment in collaboration with the regional organization for the conservation of the environment of the Red Sea as well as the Gulf of Aden. The opening ceremony of this workshop brought together senior officials from the Ministry of Housing, such as the Director of the Environment, Hussein Rirash, the Technical Advisor of the Ministry, Aden Hassan, as well as participants from the fishing trades, gendarmes, Navy Coast Guard, as well as experts from the regional organization of, for the conservation of the environment of the Red Sea, as well as the Gulf of Aden. This workshop is part of the implementation of the Regional Strategic Management of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden Strategic Ecosystem Project. This project is an integrated management program that aims to improve the management of marine resources in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden at marine protected area. In his address, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, Dini Abdullah Omar, stressed that the marine biodiversity of our country is subjected to several factors of degradation, and that is faced several threats such as pollution, exploitation of fishing, the disappearance of mangroves, as well as development of rapid urbanization. The Secretary General has therefore recalled the various legal programs implemented by his department to preserve our marine environment. And after the workshop, we gather some reaction. Let's take a listen.
The main objectives of this workshop is to show the results of monitoring programs conducted by the regional organizations of for the conservation of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, based in Saudi Arabia, which is called Persiga. The main objectives of this workshop is in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment to show the results and discuss the results obtained by the national counterparts of the ministry with the specialist from Persiga, the regional organization, which is based in Jeddah. So the main objectives, other objectives also to train the people or the locals on the evaluations of management effectiveness of marine protected areas. And this workshop will be held for 3 days. The first day will focus on the results of the monitoring, and the second and the third days will be focusing on the training on the evaluations of management of marine protected areas. So hoping that will result in enhancing capacity of locals.
Another news now, the Maritime Affairs, in close collaboration with the International Maritime Organization, have jointly held yesterday a training workshop on the implementation of the International Code for Ship and Port Facility Security, commonly referred to as the ISPS Code. This workshop took place yesterday morning within the premises of the Regional Training Center of Djibouti, located in Dorale, where were invited various personalities of the maritime administration as well agencies in charge of the assertion of order as well security at sea. The purpose of these 5 days training is to provide participants with the skills and knowledge required for the principles, practices and functions of port facility security officers as well trainers. This training workshop took place in the premises in the presence of Mrs. Nimma Hussein, Director General of the Regional Maritime Training Center, of the Director of Maritime Affairs, Ali Shehem Daoud, as well the Coordinator of the International Maritime Organizations. A community cleanup action of the city of Obokh was organized following the establishment of the neighborhood committees by Obokh Regional Council. This garbage collection action took place with the participation and under the supervision of Mr. Hassan Dabili, the prefect of the region, and Mohammed Hamad Ismail, president of the regional council, with his elected officials. The activities besides the pickup in the neighborhoods focus on the batches of meaningful neighborhood and that of the seniors. In their intervention, Hassan Dabuli and Mohammed Hamad Ismail held to remind that the cleanliness is the business of all and that the inhabitant of each neighborhood should take care to keep it clean. And on the international scene, South Korea, a foreign minister has said that North Korea leader has given his words that he is committed to denuclearization, a prime condition for a potential summit with the President Donald Trump in May. Trump has agreed to what will be historic talks after South Korea officials relayed that Kim Jong-un was committed to ridding the Korea Peninsula of nuclear weapons and was willing to halt a nuclear as well a missile test. So that's it for the news. Thanks for being with us on RTD channel.